Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. It's Cynicalex, and today I want to do a Captain Marvel trailer reaction and breakdown, not necessarily for the contents within the trailer as far as what it means for the movie, but what it could mean and what we could expect for Marvel Future Fight. So tying in the MCU movies to the video game, and this is something that I really love to do, speculate, but also kind of start the creative wheels turning and the juices flowing, and of course, as always, the hype. MCU movies especially get a lot of love in Marvel games, and Marvel Future Fight is no stranger to that. So first we're going to dive into, or first we're going to see the reaction, then we're going to dive into all of the content.
So, Skrulls are the bad guys. And you're a Kree, a race of noble warriors.
Heroes. Noble warrior heroes.
Your life began the day it nearly ended. We found you. With no memory, we made you one of us. So you could live longer, stronger, superior. You were reborn.
I keep having these memories. Something in my past is the key to all of this.
You know how to fly this thing?
We'll see.
That's a yes or no question.
Yes.
Would you like to know what you really are?
I think I had a life here. What aren't you telling me?
You've come a long way, but you're not as strong as you think. This war is just the beginning.
I'm not gonna fight your war. I'm gonna end it.
Aren't you the cutest little thing? Aren't you cute? And what's your name, huh?
Fury.
What's you? I'll be back.
So first things first, characters. What kind of new characters can we expect to see coming out of the Captain Marvel movie? And while there are quite a few options that I'm going to list, I do have to say that I do not have a lot of confidence in these suggestions. They're just suggestions, but you will understand once you hear all of them that it does kind of stretch a little bit, and it does kind of go to places that we're not really expecting. There's less clear-cut villains and heroes and side heroes in a movie like Captain Marvel than there is in something like Ant-Man and the Wasp, where it's very obvious you've got Wasp, you've got Ghost, possibly Bill Foster. So to use Ant-Man and the Wasp as an example, and also throughout this video you can use previous MCU movies as examples to help you understand why I'm coming to certain conclusions, especially when it comes to things like Legendary Battle. You have very easy to understand cause and effects. We got this movie, and this is how Marvel Future Fight interpreted. We got this movie, and that's how Marvel Future Fight interpreted it. Same thing goes for Black Panther, and you can go a little bit further back to Thor Ragnarok. But in the case of Captain Marvel, of course, the first character that comes to mind as a possibility is, of course, the old lady. We absolutely definitely need to have an old lady with a nice smile who turns evil as soon as you hit her in the game. More importantly, Skrulls. Obviously, that person is not really an old lady, it's a Skrull. Whether we're going to get specific Skrulls in the game like Talos, who is already listed as a character, as one of the primary antagonists, one of the lieutenants or commanders of the Skrull army, or whether we're just going to get a generic Skrull in some sort of game mode as a fightable opponent, but not necessarily a playable character. Also the possibility of Super Skrull, who I've mentioned a lot in conjunction with the Fantastic Four. He's not mentioned, I think, anywhere in any of the trailers or any of the press release or toys or anything, but he is He's got Skrull in the name. He's Super Skrull. He's pretty much the most famous Skrull. So if we're talking Skrulls, there's always an outside chance to see the super shape-shifting Super Skrull. Then we have Monica Rambeau as a possibility, as kind of Spectrum or Photon. I say Photon because Monica's not in the movie. She's a little baby. But as you can see from this photo, her mother, Maria Rambeau, is. And the connection to her and Carol Danvers is obviously going to be part of the plot and part of the character progression for both characters. Most notably Carol Danvers, but also Maria. And so while Maria, I don't believe, has powers, her daughter does. You know, so there is a possibility, and that does connect to characters that we already have in the game, like Blue Marvel and the Ultimates. And, you know, we had Captain Marvel, Black Panther, we have America Chavez, and so on and so forth. We also have Jude Law as a character, as a possibility for a character. He's a character in the movie. He's a possibility. They could be a character in Marvel Future Fight. He's originally billed as Mar-Vell, who is the kind of the original, the OG Captain Marvel, but there's some pretty kind of solid evidence to suggest that he's going to be playing a different character. Now, spoilers ahead if you haven't read anything online. Apparently, he's going to be Yon-Rogg. And if you guys don't know who Yon-Rogg is, he's a Skrull, or sorry, he's a Kree. Whoops. And he's kind of a bad guy. Yeah. Yon-Rogg is a bad guy. He is a Kree. He's not a Skrull. And it'll be interesting to see how they develop the character, whether it's Mar-Vell or whether it's Yon-Rogg. It's going to be interesting because he's kind of like Ronan. He's kind of a bad guy, but he's really important to the plot, especially for Carol's character, as you'll know if you know her backstory. Also a possibility, although it's an outside chance. I can't believe I screwed up Skrull and Kree. There we go. Also a possibility, Star Force. There's a lot of characters from Star Force that are very briefly shown in screenshots and throughout the trailer. So there is a possibility that any one of those could be in the game, but I think it's a very small chance. And then, of course, finally, the character we even have in-game models for, and we've been asking for years, of course, Samuel L. Jackson, a.k.a. Nick Fury. Nicholas Fury is a possibility, and if you've been playing the White Tiger Heroic Quest, you know that Nick Fury is in a lot of the dialogue with White Fox, and so it's awesome to see him there, and it's awesome to know that Netmarble has already made a character model for him, and what better movie than Captain Marvel, where he's featured the most heavily that he's ever been featured in an MCU movie, to finally come to Marvel Future Fight. I would think it would be fantastic, and I know you guys would love it. Now, moving on from characters, we have uniforms. I think this is the biggie for a lot of people. The one front and center for uniform is Captain Marvel. Undoubtedly going to be getting a uniform. Hopefully it's a 1050 crystal uniform. Hopefully it is a transcendently powerful uniform. And another small reason why I made this video is just in case I can push, I can kind of nudge and influence and encourage Netmarble a little bit to just take those numbers, take those dials on Captain Marvel and just dial them up a little bit. I know you guys probably made her super strong for her movie. Just make her a little bit stronger, you know? Just keep going up. It's okay. We can deal with an OP female blonde character who takes over the meta and completely dominates everyone for a few months to a year. We've done it before. We've done it a few times. We've done it, you know, for basically the entire time that we've been playing this game. We can do it again. Just change the hair color. So that is, of course, the first one. Now, getting into a little bit more detail about Captain Marvel's uniform, I do think that her kind of OG red and blue is the most likely one, which is a bit of a spin-off on this one. It's similar, but definitely has enough unique features, and it's definitely not close enough to this one. It'll definitely be unique enough to be featured, and that's usually the worry that we have with MCU movies. A lot of people were skeptical. You all remember, I wasn't, but you guys were, that Ant-Man was not going to get a uniform because his uniform in Ant-Man and the Wasp was too similar to Civil War. And, well, yeah, you were wrong, and I was right. He did get a uniform. So there's a very, very good chance, it's 99.9% chance that she's getting a uniform. Now, I do prefer the red and blue. We could get the green one, although I doubt it, but furthermore, I do think that Netmarble has a very fantastic opportunity here to up their game. So they've made uniforms, they've made better uniforms, they've made uniforms with extremely interesting kind of lingering effects. So the most notable example is Thanos, how his glove has the trail around as you spin the character model. These kinds of small effects go such a long way in developing the characters and these details. And I think for Captain Marvel, the detail that is most prominent is the radiant form, and you see that a little bit, or you see some form of her her energy coming out towards the end of the trailer. And so I think if they were to build that into the character, now I would love to see her glowing the whole time in the uniform, but it would lessen the impact over time because the character is always glowing. And a really good reminder and a really good example of that is Black Panther. Black Panther's uniform was super cool in his MCU debut, in his movie, Marvel's Black Panther, and seeing that purple glow was amazing, but having it on all the time was pretty corny, I'm not gonna lie, and it got old really fast. And so Netmarble put up a patch less than a week later, and they changed it, and they made it so that it only glows when he does his 4th skill. Perfect opportunity here, Netmarble. Definitely give Captain Marvel the glowing effect that you see from the trailer when she does her 4th or 5th skill, and let that last for about 4 or 5 seconds so that we can enjoy and relive that powering up moment over and over again without it getting old and being kind of an always on effect. That's kind of my only wish, and of course for her to be completely busted and super OP, because she's never been OP. She definitely deserves it. But beyond Captain Marvel, there are very few uniforms that could possibly come. Ronan has very little screen time, it seems, from the trailers, if you take the trailers as an example. So while I do know that he's going to be in the movie, and the actor is confirmed, I doubt that we're going to be seeing a uniform for Ronan, because he's probably going to look similar to this. I don't think he's going to look like this, because this look is more of his fugitive / terrorist look from Guardians of the Galaxy, when he had already broken the Xandarian peace treaty that the Kree had signed. So I think he'll look less radical than this. He might look like this, it's definitely possible, but he may probably look like something in between. This is a bit too cartoony, I think, for the movies. So, and I honestly personally can't remember if they've shown a clear image of him. A lot of it has been dark, and they can always play with the colors in the post to make it look different in the trailer versus the final product. Marvel is known for misleading us intentionally, so there's a possibility, although I would say it's in the like 10 to 20% range, that Ronan gets a uniform. Would I love Ronan to get a uniform? Yes. I have a very soft spot in my heart for Ronan. Do I expect it? No. So I'm letting you know my expectations are low, but my hopes are sky high. Finally, we could see a uniform for Phil Coulson. He's younger in this movie because it takes place a lot earlier in his lifespan and in the MCU universe, so he would have to look different than he looks now for sure. Get a little bit more hair on that head, bro. But it's possible. Now, he's gotten a uniform and he's still completely useless outside of a strictly support role. I'm talking E-list power level. So it would be nice to see a uniform that makes him usable as a standalone character, but again, like Ronan, don't hold your breath for it. The last thing I want to talk about, and the thing that I think may excite you guys the most, is content. What content can we expect, or can we speculate on? I shouldn't give you expectations. What content can we speculate to see for the Captain Marvel movie tie-in? I think, of course, the most obvious one, which is basically a guaranteed, again, 90 to 99% chance, a legendary battle. We've gotten one for every major MCU movie that we've had this year, besides, well, no, all of them. Yeah. So, and going back to last year with Ragnarok. So we haven't skipped a beat with direct MCU movies. The only one missing recently in memory is, well, Homecoming wasn't an MCU direct movie. So yeah, we've gotten them. So there's, you know, an extremely good chance that we're going to be seeing a legendary battle, which means the possibility to get more CTPs, the possibility to see even more uniforms, and the possibility for more amazing battles based on the movie events. So again, I would love a fight scene where you're flying through space and the camera angle changes, it's dynamic rather than being fixed. And you're playing as Carol Danvers and you're blasting ships like she does in the trailer. And there's so many different things they could do. She could have a battle against Ronan. She could have a battle against Skrulls. She could have a battle in the streets, on the train against people who turn into Skrulls when she hits them. She could have battles against other Kree, and you know, maybe the Star Force turns on her or something like that. Yeah, I'm super excited for this. I honestly, deep down, really love legendary battles. And so more legendary battles, count me in. I'm so down. I wish I could do 5 a day for these. I honestly would do them all every single day. I'm dead serious. Moving on, there's of course always the possibility, and it's becoming more and more likely to see event battles, whether they're these types of event battles or just the battles where you do other things in the game and you collect tokens, you know, Captain Marvel themed tokens. We've already seen things with stars on them. We've seen things with similar brands that it's almost a shoe-in to happen specifically for her movie tie-in. We could also see, I think it's a pretty strong possibility, a new story chapter mission. These missions feature the Ultimates. They feature characters super closely tied to Carol. They feature Carol herself as both a villain, you know, and it takes place in space, which is, again, also a pretty prominent feature of the movie. So yeah, I do think that they could expand the story. I don't expect them to, and I think that this is probably a long shot because of the way that Marvel Future Fight has developed its story over time. A lot of it was done in the beginning, and then we've gotten very small bits and pieces, fragmented, and very stretched apart since then. So, you know, it's again a long shot. Finally, I do think one piece of content that we could hope for is some sort of giant boss raid. Now, there aren't any giant bosses, I think. You're not going to fight the Supreme Intelligence, so there's not a lot of giant bosses to be had in Captain Marvel, but there are a lot of giant threats in terms of numbers. So we could have like a giant battle with tons of Skrulls just coming out of space at you, and then ships, perhaps, for example. We could also have the Kree coming in. You could have them fighting each other. I don't really know. It's again very loose and very kind of not vague, short chanced in my head, but I would like it because we like this game mode. It's a fun game mode. I like this game mode, and having more of it, having different options, having different rewards would be amazing. So let me know what you guys think of the reaction to Captain Marvel. Let me know what you think of all the speculation and characters, uniforms, and content that I've talked about. Let me know if you have anything to add, and also get hype for tomorrow's video, maybe, or the next couple days, where I'll do the same type of setup and display for you guys for the Marvel Avengers 4 trailer teaser. Subscribe if you enjoy the content and you want to support me, and of course, if you like what you see, I hope to see you again tomorrow. Take care.